Your Toyota's suspension is quietly working overtime every single day, absorbing thousands of impacts from potholes, speed bumps, and rough pavement. But here's what most owners don't realize until it's too late. The same system that keeps your ride smooth and safe is slowly wearing down with every mile. The worst part? Most people don't notice until something major fails, and they're staring at a repair bill that can hit $4,000 or $5,000. I've been working on Toyotas for over 15 years, and I can tell you with absolute certainty, suspensions don't just suddenly fail. They talk to you for months, sometimes years, before they give up. The problem is most drivers don't know the early signs or they ignore them, planning to deal with it later. Yes, then later shows up as a car that bounces like a basketball, pulls to one side, or makes noises like something's about to fall off. But what if I told you there's one simple maintenance routine that can dramatically extend your suspension's life? Something you do once a year that costs less than $50 and can save you thousands down the road. If you're getting value from this and you drive a Toyota, hit like and subscribe. Share this with friends who own Toyotas or post it in your Toyota forums and Facebook groups. It helps more owners avoid expensive mistakes. And drop your Toyota's year, model, and current mileage in the comments. I see every comment and I love seeing how far these cars go. Here's the truth. Suspension components are engineered with realistic lifespans. Shocks and struts are typically good for 50,000 to 100,000 miles of normal driving. Ball joints, control arm bushings, and stabilizer links live in similar ranges. Keyword: normal. If you deal with rough roads, carry heavy loads, or live where winters are harsh, those numbers drop, sometimes a lot. Toyota designs its suspensions to wear gradually rather than fail catastrophically on purpose. It's a safety choice. Instead of everything breaking at once, the system degrades slowly. Your ride gets a little harsher, steering gets a touch less precise, and tires start wearing unevenly. Those are early warning signs. The trap is that gradual wear is easy to adapt to. You get used to the slight bounce, the faint pull, the tiny clunk over driveway lips. Before you know it, you're driving on components working at 60% of their original capability, and that's when the real damage starts hitting other systems. When shocks and struts can't control wheel movement, your tires take the beating. Impacts that the suspension should absorb get hammered straight into the tread, creating irregular wear that can kill a set of tires in half their normal life. Now you're buying tires early and facing suspension work. Your steering pays the price too. With poor damping, the steering system works over time just to keep the car tracking straight. Ball joints loosen, tie rod ends develop play, and even power steering components wear faster. What started as a minor damping issue snowballs into a full front-end rebuild. The biggest mistake? Waiting for obvious noises or dramatic symptoms. By then, you've crossed from preventive maintenance into corrective repair, and the costs spike. What could have been a straightforward strut replacement turns into control arms, bushings, ball joints, and an alignment, multiplied across the front and sometimes the rear. The hidden costs pile up too. A weak suspension hurts fuel economy because the engine works harder when tires aren't planted. Braking distances increase because worn damping can't keep the contact patch stable under hard stops. And resale value drops the moment a buyer feels a choppy ride or sees feathered tire edges on a test drive. So, how do you stop the slide? With a maintenance approach so simple, most people overlook it. The secret isn't just replacing parts early, it's preserving the parts you already have by removing the root causes of wear before they become problems. Most suspension damage isn't because Toyota used bad parts. It's preventable stress, road salt corrosion, loose mounting bolts, packed-in debris around bushings, and constant overload from heavy cargo. Address these proactively and your suspension can easily beat its design life. The annual routine I'm about to share targets those exact stressors. No exotic tools, no expensive parts. Just a clear understanding of how your suspension works and a few smart steps once a year. Some take 5 minutes, one might take an hour. All of them pay you back. If you're still with me, hit subscribe. This channel is built around preventive maintenance that keeps Toyotas running like new for years. The best part? This works on everything from a brand new Camry to a 20-year-old 4Runner with 300,000 miles. The key is consistency. Do these steps once a year, every year, and you create a compounding effect that stretches component life dramatically. Think of it like this. Every time you address potential problems before they become actual problems, you're resetting the wear clock. Instead of a steady downhill slope, you keep components operating close to the original specification. Step 1. Deep clean and inspect the undercarriage. This surprises people because it doesn't involve replacing anything, but it's the foundation. The real battle happens under the car where grime, salt, and debris pack around mounts, bushings, and joints. Ignore it, and that crud acts like sandpaper, grinding on rubber and metal, and traps moisture that accelerates corrosion. I've seen perfectly good arms and bushings ruined not by miles, but by neglecting this single cleaning step. Get the car safely on ramps or jack stands. Never rely on a jack alone. With clear access, use a pressure washer or a strong hose nozzle and flush everything. Around control arms, shock and strut mounts, sway bar links, subframe pockets, and behind the wheels. Take your time. You're not detailing, you're removing abrasive material that would otherwise chew on your suspension every single day. While you're down there with the hose, keep your eyes open for anything that looks off. Look for oil stains or dampness under your shocks or struts. That's often a sign of internal leakage. Check that all bolts look secure and free of heavy rust. Take a close look at every rubber boot and bushing you can see. If any are cracked, torn, or starting to dry out, make a mental note. You're not diagnosing everything today. You're just getting familiar with what normal looks like for your particular Toyota. Once everything's clean and dry, here's where the real magic starts. You're going to apply a rubber preservative to every suspension bushing you can reach. Most people have never heard of this step, but it's something professional mechanics quietly do on their own vehicles. These rubber bushings are the unsung heroes of your suspension, and they're usually the first components to fail. Bushings act as shock absorbers between metal parts. They isolate vibration, absorb impact, and keep your ride quiet and smooth. But over time, heat, ozone, and petroleum residue from the road attack them. When that rubber hardens or cracks, the bushing can't flex properly. That's when you start feeling every little bump and hearing the dreaded squeaks and clunks. A high-quality rubber preservative seeps into the material and restores flexibility. It also forms a barrier that protects against further cracking or drying. The one I recommend costs around $20 and will last for years. Apply it with a small brush or spray bottle and coat every visible rubber bushing thoroughly. Pay extra attention to the lower control arm bushings. They take more abuse than any other component and are expensive to replace, often several $100s per side plus labor. Spending 5 minutes treating them once a year can literally add decades to their service life. While you're at it, treat your CV joint boots too. These rubber covers protect the constant velocity joints that transfer power from the transmission to your wheels. When they crack, dirt and moisture get in, and you're suddenly looking at a full CV joint or axle replacement. A light application of rubber preservative keeps them flexible and sealed tight. Now let's move on to something that almost no one checks: suspension bolts. These can slowly loosen over time due to vibration and heat cycling. It's not poor design, it's just physics. Metal expands and contracts with temperature, and even the best fasteners gradually back off a bit. You don't need to remove everything to check it. A quick visual inspection and a gentle pull with the right wrench is enough. Focus first on shock mount bolts, sway bar brackets, and control arm attachment points. If you find a bolt that turns even a quarter turn easily, it's too loose. That doesn't mean grab the biggest Torque wrench you own and overdo it. Over-tightening can distort bushings or damage threads. What you want is simply correct factory torque. If you're unsure, your Toyota service manual lists the specs, and they're easy to find online by model and year. If you're not comfortable doing it yourself, most shops will tighten suspension bolts during an inspection for a small fee. The key is making it a yearly habit before damage starts. Next, let's talk about something that seems unrelated but directly affects how long your suspension lasts: power steering fluid. Here's why. When the fluid gets low or contaminated, your steering gets heavier. You adapt without realizing it, but the extra effort transfers straight into the steering system. Ball joints, tie rod ends, and knuckles all take that stress. They're designed for smooth, assisted steering, not constant resistance. Healthy power steering fluid should be clear or slightly amber. If it's dark, smells burnt, or has debris floating in it, you're overdue for a change. Checking takes seconds. The reservoir is usually easy to find under the hood, often labeled clearly. Most Toyotas use a specific type of fluid. Don't mix brands or use generic ATF unless your manual specifically allows it. If you drive in dusty or off-road conditions, change that fluid even more often than Toyota recommends. Dust and dirt can sneak in through small seals, turning your steering fluid into gritty, abrasive sludge that eats away at pumps and seals. Fresh, clean fluid keeps your steering effortless and your suspension parts stress-free. Before wrapping up your annual suspension maintenance, there's one more crucial step that many people overlook: checking your tire pressure. Not eyeballing it, checking it with an accurate gauge and setting it exactly to the specification on your driver's door jamb sticker. Not the max pressure on the tire sidewall, but Toyota's precise recommendation for your model. Tire pressure has a huge effect on suspension wear. Underinflated tires flex excessively, forcing suspension components like ball joints and control arms to absorb energy they weren't designed to handle. Overinflated tires reduce the contact patch and send more impact force straight into your shocks and bushings instead of cushioning it. We're talking about just a few PSI differences, but over time it's massive. I've seen Toyotas with premature ball joint failure that had nothing wrong except chronic underinflation. Owners had no clue that skipping regular tire checks was quietly destroying their suspension. If you found this routine helpful, make sure you're subscribed. What we cover here, the real-world Toyota maintenance tips, are the same strategies professional technicians use to keep these cars running forever. There's more coming that'll save you even more down the road. The beauty of this once-a-year maintenance is how it compounds. Each session builds on the last. A Camry or Tacoma that would normally show wear at 70,000 miles might feel solid past 100,000. Components that should last 5 years might still be healthy at 15. And remember, this isn't just about comfort, it's about preventing chain reactions. Bad shocks stress your brakes, worn ball joints ruin alignments, loose bushings send vibrations that damage your power steering pump and rack. Your suspension is the foundation of your entire vehicle. Treat it right, and everything connected to it lasts longer too. This interconnected nature of your Toyota systems means that neglecting suspension maintenance doesn't just cost you ride comfort. It triggers a chain reaction of problems that hit your wallet from every angle. I've seen Toyota owners spend $5,000 thinking they were fixing one isolated suspension issue, only to find out they also needed new tires, brake work, and steering repairs because they waited too long to address the original problem. That's exactly what this annual maintenance approach prevents. By catching small issues early and attacking the root causes, you stop that domino effect entirely. Everything stays in sync, your tires wear evenly, your brakes last longer, your steering stays sharp, and your overall driving feel stays as close to factory fresh as possible, even after years on the road. Now, let's talk about something that sounds obvious but almost everyone overlooks: the weight you carry every day. I'm not talking about moving heavy loads once in a while. I mean the everyday stuff that quietly piles up in your trunk and back seat without you realizing it. Every extra pound your suspension has to support shortens its life. Those golf clubs that live in the trunk year-round, the old toolbox you never unload, that case of bottled water, the emergency gear that turned into permanent storage, it all adds up. Over time, that constant extra weight puts unnecessary stress on springs, shocks, and bushings that were designed for specific load limits. Here's the part that surprises most people. The average Toyota owner carries 50 to 70 pounds of unnecessary weight at all times. That might not sound like much, but it's more than enough to alter suspension geometry and wear patterns. Toyota engineers designed suspension systems for the vehicle's curb weight plus passengers and reasonable cargo, not a rolling storage unit. When you exceed that consistently, parts wear faster and performance slowly fades. The solution is simple, but it takes a bit of discipline. Once a year, when you're doing your suspension maintenance, completely empty your vehicle. Take out everything that isn't bolted down. You'll be amazed at what you find, and how much it all weighs when you pile it up outside your Toyota. Then, be brutally honest about what goes back in. Keep your emergency kit, jumper cables, and maybe a few essentials, but ditch the clutter. That extra weight you remove doesn't just extend your suspension life. It instantly improves fuel economy, acceleration, braking distance, and even tire wear. Your Toyota will feel lighter, tighter, and more responsive the very next time you drive it. Speaking of tires, here's something that directly connects to your suspension's health but almost no one pays attention to: temperature-based tire pressure changes. As temperatures rise and fall, your tire pressure can fluctuate by several psi, and those small changes dramatically affect how your suspension behaves. Most Toyota owners only check tire pressure when a tire looks low or when the TPMS light finally comes on, but by then your suspension has already been compensating for uneven tire support for weeks. Underinflated tires force your springs and shocks to work harder. Overinflated tires stiffen the ride and transfer more impact straight into your bushings and joints. Here's the physics. When your tire pressure drops just 5 psi below spec, the tire sidewalls flex more, which shifts more weight onto the suspension. Your springs compress farther, your shocks cycle more often, your ball joints and bushings experience lateral stress they weren't designed for. Over time, that small pressure difference compounds into major wear. The fix is easy, it just takes consistency. Check your tire pressure once a month, not once in a while. Use a quality digital gauge, not a cheap stick gauge. Always check when your tires are cold, ideally first thing in the morning. And don't guess the correct number. It's printed right on your driver's door jamb sticker. Toyota engineers picked that number for a reason. It's not just about ride comfort, it's the perfect balance between traction, efficiency, and suspension protection. And that brings us to the finish line. One simple annual routine that costs less than $50 but can save you thousands. Clean your undercarriage, treat your rubber bushings, check your bolts, maintain your fluids, and keep your tire pressure spot on. That's it. Do those steps once a year, every year, and your Toyota's suspension will reward you with a smoother ride, longer life, and better performance than you ever thought possible. If this video saved you from even one expensive repair, do me a favor. Hit that subscribe button and share this video with a fellow Toyota owner. We've got plenty more coming on the hidden maintenance tricks that keep your Toyota running forever. Your suspension and your wallet will thank you for it.